So with only 8 days to go until the election, can you guys believe that? Stars are pulling out all the stops to get out the vote. So Selena Gomez reached out to her 180 million Instagram followers, yes, by posting a casual chat with actor Timothy Chalamet, who was waiting in line to vote in New York City. Now Jennifer Aniston posed by a voting box in LA saying she cast her ballot for Joe Biden. She also encouraged people to vote responsibly, adding that it's not funny to vote for Kanye West, who is on the ballot in 12 states. And her ex-husband, Brad Pitt, lent his voice to a Joe Biden campaign ad that played during SNL's Game 4 of the World Series. Watch. Or Saturday night's Game 4 of the World Series. Watch.
America is a place for everyone. Those who chose this country. Those who fought for it. Some Republicans, some Democrats, and most just somewhere in between.
Jeff, what do you make of celebrities? I mean, it's very partisan. Let's call it what it is. When you see the vast majority of celebrities in Hollywood campaigning for a presidential candidate, it's almost always liberal. Do you think that helps encourage people to vote, or do you think that leaves a sour taste in most people's mouths?
I don't know. So I've never been one for having people, go out there and support their candidate. They could do what they want. I'm not knocking them for doing that, but it does get a little to the point of overdoing it, right? Every award show, now we have the commercials, people's Instagram. I mean, no one's supporting the other side. It's all one-sided. That's why I don't like it. I'm more of a balanced guy. So if you were doing both sides, in fact, if you do support the Trump side, you're immediately accused of being a racist or a white supremacist. And if you start a conversation with calling me a racist or a white supremacist when I'm just talking about simple politics, I think the conversation's over. And I think that's where we have to go in our country. We have to be comfortable talking about both sides. It can't just be one-sided. And that's where I stand on it.
I think it's kind of telling, other than I understand what you're saying about the idea of being blackballed or whatever you want to call it, but I do believe that if you firmly feel a certain way and that's where your convictions lie, you need to be able to say that. And if there are going to be consequences for that, that's how we all live. Like either you're free to speak your truth and you deal with how that resonates with the rest of the world, or you don't. I think celebrities are just people who have larger platforms in order to speak their truth, and they might be taking a risk regardless of what side of the issue they're on by being transparent about their testimony. But like last week, I did a panel with 3 major celebrities. All of them have millions of followers. And that was one of the questions I asked them, like, where or how do you feel about the criticism? And most of their responses were, it is my responsibility to make sure that I am doing my civic duty and encouraging others to do their civic duties. You would be shocked by how many people still haven't registered to vote or have just been completely in the dark about the idea that this is something they should be doing. I don't think that it's ever too many times to tell people to exercise their civic duty. And if you have a large platform and you feel that that's your responsibility, I 100% think that that's what you should do.
Interesting. Speaking of which, and other yes, go ahead, Jeff, please chime in.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think there's a risk in supporting the Democratic Party because that's all you see is the Democratic Party. In fact, you get patted on the back for it. I always bring up the example of making Biden cookies. There is no Trump cookies. No one's doing that. You'll get berated in social media if you support Trump. On the other hand, you get patted on the back if you support Biden-Harris ticket, right? So I don't think there's any risk in doing that. And my problem is are all these celebrities really that involved in politics, or is it something their publicist told them to put on their Instagram? That's where I have a problem with it. I believe some people are doing their duty, and I think others are trying to get more followers.
And I 100% understand what you're saying, Jeff, and like why you're saying that. I guess I look at it like when this show first started, we weren't seeing a ton of people standing up and saying things about Black Lives Matter. We weren't seeing a bunch of, a ton of Black women on mainstream media saying things that were about, about how Black women are treated. And that was a very uncomfortable position to be in, but you have to do what you feel like makes you sleep at night, and that's your conviction. So when I hear someone say, well, I'm not going to say it because I don't want the backlash, I just kind of feel like, well, maybe you shouldn't have that platform, because it's disingenuous to feel something and have such conviction and then be scared of how people are going to come at you, because I understand how that feels. So that's why I know that we're approaching it from two different angles, but for me, I look at it like it's more cowardice to not just proclaim what your truth is and still want to speak than to speak and not say your truth. I just have a different aspect of where I'm coming from with it.
Yeah, and I totally get that, because I'm speaking for the other side, but I'm saying there is no cowardice in supporting Biden. There is no backlash in supporting Biden or the left side. There is no backlash in that. That's where I'm coming from.
Right. Okay. Great conversation.
Way less risk.
No,
way less risk.
Way less. I agree with you. Way less risk.